This is just a really quick summary of the Classroom Walks and Talks Google form put together, reasons why, and looking at the value of it and how it's been of assistance. So the first element is actually just the response itself. What happened is that in doing the few classroom walks and talks when it all began, it was actually very difficult to know what do I do with the data, how do I collate it, how can this be of use to me in leadership and also to the community, because otherwise it's just a waste of time. So what I looked at was putting together just a simple Google form to gather my results, and this is what it came up with. So it's fairly simple. It was looking at, first of all, engaging in the subject. I'll show you why later. The grade that I was in, the teacher, the date, the lesson, and then the 5 questions. In the 5 questions, you'll notice that I've tried to deliver a summary of the conversation, because obviously the conversation is relatively informal. It's 5 questions, but it's a quiet and relaxed and non-obtrusive conversation in the back of the room. So I tried to look and make sure that my answers, which I do outside the classroom after I've had the conversation, summarizes my conversation. So obviously, in terms of the total accuracy of the data, there's always going to be elements of interpretation on my part, but I've tried to summarize what comes out of it in most of those responses, and it's a living document, so I've added things. So just as example, this here is a relatively new one, because what I found was students were often had a clear articulation about what they were doing. They knew the activity, they knew the expectations, etc. But sometimes they didn't have clarity exactly about what they were learning. And so I wanted to try and just make that delineation, particularly for teachers in giving them feedback. So you can see the 5 questions there, what they and the various answers that might be given by kids along the way. Most importantly, then, is about what do you do with it. So what Google Forms does is allows you to give the responses. In the responses here, you'll notice. In the responses here, you'll notice that the reason I include subjects and the like is so that I can see, do I have good coverage around the curriculum, or am I always in the same subjects? You'll notice, so science, technology, humanities is quite good. Where do I really need to focus? I need to head into the arts a little bit more, because I need to be able to give those heads of curriculum a little bit more feedback about what's going on in the classroom. And health and PE, really disappointing there. And I say, okay, I've got to fix that up. In terms of grades, am I getting a coverage across the grades? The area where I haven't been as active is there. It tells me in year 11. Then the teachers, are there teachers who I'm focusing on more? And I don't want it to be about the teachers. It's not about the teachers, it's about the learning. So that's the only reason the teachers are there, the dates that they're done. And then the lesson times. Lesson times may be less important, but it's just good to know about in terms of coverage and getting around the school. And then here are what's coming through. This data is obviously the most important aspect of it. So what are kids saying about their learning? What are their responses? But once I've got the data, what am I going to do about it is a great question. And this is an important one for me. The best one that I've used with teachers already is down the back here. Where do you go for help? You'll notice, look, it's really great, I think, that the kids go to the teachers. So 95.7% of respondents said that one of the places they go to help is their teacher. And that's great. But what I was concerned about, though, was they really didn't go many other places. And so in our teaching and learning plans and in our professional development plans, what I'm trying to do with the teachers now is say, okay, how can we create other places for kids to go to achieve their learning goals? Because the teacher isn't always there. So at the moment, we're working on things like the flipped classroom, etc., to help us out. The second area that assists you is you can go to add-ons as well, an advanced summary by Awesome Table. If I click on the one I've got already, it gives a summary of the entire, all the answers that are there in a different way. But what I love about this is what it also allows me to do. It allows me to say, okay, I'm going to go to the English curriculum leader. what can I tell the English curriculum leader about what learning's happening? So first of all, it gives me an idea about what classes and teachers I've been in, what lessons, but here's the answers to the questions. So for the English department, in the English department, how are kids feeling about their learning? This is just an awesome tool, and this is another reason why the data is so good as a leadership perspective, to take them to our middle leaders and see what they can do. I can go up here again and I can get rid of English, and I decide to go mathematics. And up comes our mathematics responses for what they're learning, etc. If I want to then, let's say I want to focus on a grade, how are our grade 7 teachers going with what's happening? And here's all of their information. So this is another way. It's interesting. One of the things I really love about this is the words that get highlighted. The bigger the word, the more often it came up. And so, how do the kids know that they're doing well? And look at this big feedback. And if we lose Hattie's for visible learning, the importance of feedback. Now we have to check how good is our feedback, but the kids know they're doing well because of feedback, because of the teacher, because of the way they feel. And remember, number one in Hattie's visible learning stuff was about student self-reporting of grades, or how students felt. For Mazzano, that top level of thinking is about self-system thinking. Do they engage? So they're confident, they know, they feel, they're getting feedback, and their teacher's central. This is the good information that's coming from this. The second area that I've only just started in is then looking at the 5 questions for teachers. This is the original one. And for me, this was as much about it being a professional learning tool as it was about being a survey. So you'll notice that I've highlighted in the reading section of this the notion of the 10 mind frames. Mazzano and Kendall's new taxonomy, which assists teachers' understanding when we're talking about what are they learning, etc. This is how we want to frame what are they learning, at what level are they learning, what are we putting in the classroom or into our lessons. Obviously, an easier way to look at Mazzano. Some of the verbs that might help the teachers in filling out the survey, and then further assistance and clarification, and then the 5 questions for the teachers. The responses for this one are a little bit harder to look at because they're written, as you can see there. But when you go to Awesome Table, I'll make one quickly as we go. When you go to Awesome Table, that word concept that I talked again about in the last one comes up really well. So I'll open the summary. Now, why am I teaching it? Or what am I teaching, etc. Students comes up in a large way, but you'll notice it's different. But are students the centre of our learning here at Southern Cross Catholic College? Well, when I'm talking about what I'm teaching, students. Why am I teaching it? Students. How will I teach it? Students. How will I know that they've learnt it? Students are the centre of that conversation that's occurring. What next? Students are the focus. So it's really interesting, just at a simple thing, to talk to teachers about their professional abilities and support them and let them know that they're doing a good job, because students are the centre of their learning. I have revised this though, because I want teachers to focus a little bit more on that learning and teaching concept. And so the revision of that looks a little bit different. The start of it is all the same, as you can see there. But then in the what I'm teaching, I've tried to look at having them note exactly what's going on there. So in the classroom, are they recognising what level? If we preview the form, when they fill it out, I'll just take you down there. When they fill the form out, you can see that, what am I teaching? Well, am I working in the knowledge retrieval, the comprehension, the analysis, the knowledge utilisation, metacognition, or self-system thinking in that what am I teaching? Rather than just focusing on the content, what skills am I teaching? And then looking at exactly, okay, what element of each of those am I doing? I might be doing, for example, I am doing a recognition and a recall activity, but at the same time, as part of the lesson, we're doing a small amount from that of analysis and analysing errors, and that's the majority of our lesson. And then we go through the rest of the questions. So just to focus their energy on what they're teaching. So look, that's how Lynn's questions are working in our school. It's very early days for us. We started at a bit of a deficit by the way that it had been structured previously. This year, we're giving it a crack to see how well we can go. So this is Southern Cross Catholic College's approach. I hope it's working. Early days. The next phase for us is engaging the teachers more in this data. Thank you.